Drama has some specific elements that are unique to it. So, although we need to look at elements of fiction like characters and setting and plot, and although we might be using poetic devices and literary devices like simile and metaphor and hyperbole, drama also has some very specific text features of how it's formatted on the page. All of these formatting choices are really to help an actor or directors or producers on bringing it to life. So, um, if you have a script to look at, feel free to look at it as you listen to these notes. We will also be going through some examples later. We always have a cast list at the beginning of, or a list of characters rather, not a cast list, but a list of characters at the beginning of a script. It usually gives us their name. It might give us some demographic information about them, their age, their race, their gender, if their title, if we need to know how they're related to things. And so that helps us give some context. Sometimes after that character list or right before it is a note on the setting. So we know the temporal and physical setting of the play. Stage directions, however, are really unique to drama. Because we're not writing a whole narrative, we're not writing pages upon pages of description like we would in a novel or a short story. Stage directions tell us what characters do and what sound and lighting cues are. So they're usually in brackets. Sometimes they're in parentheses. Sometimes they're italicized. All of those features are really just to help an actor reading it know, hey, it's bracketed off. It's not for you to read out loud. So stage directions give suggestions of when characters should move, how they might say lines, and every author is different. The classic American playwright Tennessee Williams gives very, very detailed stage directions. Um, other when we look at Shakespeare, Shakespeare doesn't give almost any stage directions. We're supposed to figure them out by how the characters are, what the characters are saying. So stage directions help cue us in on what lighting and sound and movement should be. When directors actually put a play on a stage, they don't have to follow those rules. They have to follow the printed words that the author wrote, but they have some leeway with stage directions. Asides are one of the examples of breaking the fourth wall, when a character will be talking to another character and then turn around and say something right to the camera. And then they go back to talking. So an aside is a really short, brief handful of words, a couple sentences directed to the audience. And we might label them as an aside or to the audience. This helps us get some characters' inner thoughts. We also have soliloquies, which are the same thing as asides, but they're longer. So sometimes all the other characters will leave stage and one character will just talk right to us, to the audience, and break the fourth wall, talk to us. And sometimes maybe the lights will go down or the rest of the characters on the stage will freeze and the main character or whatever character is making a soliloquy will turn to the audience and give their thoughts. Sometimes this might help foreshadow. Sometimes this gives a flashback. Sometimes it just gives us characters' motivations. And again, it's still objective third-person point of view because the character's only speaking and doing. Hopefully, we can get some of what's going on inside their heads, but we can only trust as much as we can trust spoken words. Similar to a soliloquy is a monologue. A monologue is another long speech. There is no specific, oh, it has to be so many words to count as a soliloquy versus an aside. Aside is usually one or two sentences. Soliloquy is a bit longer. Monologues are long speeches that a character gives to another character on the stage. So in a monologue, it's a long speech, but all the characters on stage hear it. So maybe someone is giving a graduation speech to the people in front of them on the stage, or a political character is giving a big, long political speech or a rally, or a character is explaining why they did something to another character. So monologues are long speeches that other characters on the stage can hear. Soliloquies, only the audience can hear. And then, of course, we have dialogue, which is that back and forth exchange between characters. This might be a little more fast and furious. It might be a handful of sentences at a time. And monologues usually embedded into dialogue. So as characters go back and forth, once in a while, a character will speak for a longer amount of time. And that is dialogue. So that is our quick overview. We recommend that you review these notes in more detail, especially as we start reading more drama. But these are the specific features and elements to keep in mind as we start reading some scripts.